Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Ada for telling my fiancé, if I see her friend again, I'm calling the cops. Erica, 27 years old, and I, 29 years old, have been dating for 2 years and have been engaged for 4 months, respectively. After we were engaged, Erica moved into my house with me. I will continue to pay the mortgage, but she will be liable for the costs of power, food, and household supplies, among other things. When we are married, we want to place her on the title of the house so that she may benefit from the equity as well. Her closest friend, Lee, 27-year-old female, has been her best friend since they were in high school together. I don't really like for Lee, but I've tried to be cordial toward her since I know she'll be in my life. My issue is that Lee considers my home to be hers, which is a concern. Here are a few examples. She's always bringing her man over, and he's a jerk to be around with. She treats me as if I'm a stranger in my own house, as if she/Erica owns the place and I'm just a guest. A few of my tools were missing when I stepped out to my garage one day. I noticed this when I opened the door. When I looked through my camera, I saw that Lee and her boyfriend were in my garage with Erica, who was carrying some tools. When I spoke about it with Erica, she responded that they were merely borrowing things and would return them. The company had to be contacted many times before they finally returned the tools, which was several weeks later. I have a nice wine and liquor collection, and I was working late one Friday night. While I was working, I could hear numerous bottles clinking together. Erica wasn't home, so I went outside to see what was going on. Nothing seemed to be wrong. Lee was standing behind my bar, looking at me. Upon my inquiry about her whereabouts, she stated that Erica had told her that it was okay to borrow a bottle of wine for her party and that she would be responsible for paying it back. I informed her that what she was doing wasn't right and that she should go. In response to my inquiry, Erica said that I don't remember telling Lee she could take a bottle, but I may have, I'm not sure. I don't recall telling Lee she could take a bottle, she added. I informed Erica that I didn't feel comfortable with Lee being in my house at this time, and she acknowledged my concerns while simultaneously brushing them off. It was the last straw when I went to hit some golf balls and realized that my clubs were nowhere to be found. Because I play golf on a regular basis, and because my clubs are my most significant investment, I became really concerned. When I went to check the video again, I saw that Lee had stolen the clubs by using my garage code. I blew up, called Erica, and pleaded with her to bring the children back as quickly as possible. She agreed. He said that Lee had sought the garage code in order to obtain some items from her closet, rather than my clubs, which Erica confirmed. The police were on their way, but Erica stepped in and stopped me. Lee insisted on telling us that her boyfriend needed them for a work-related purpose over and over again. They were dirty when I got them back, which was about 4 days after they had been taken away from me. This was the point at which I sat Erica down and informed her that if she ever saw Lee in my house again, I would alert the authorities. The situation escalated and Erica grew indignant, stating that it was wrong to treat her as her best friend in our household. I explained that it's a pattern and Erica isn't bothered by it since her things isn't harmed. I told her that if she wanted to see Lee, she could come over to her house. She said that she is unable to do so since Lee does not like her apartment and because Lee's boyfriend is always around, which makes Erica feel uncomfortable. However, I do not think I am doing anything wrong and am thus suffering the quiet treatment and being referred to as an AH. Ada. P-date. Following my perusal of the comments, I thought it was necessary to make a choice. I made the choice to drive back home from work and talk with Erica about the situation. When I arrived, Lee's car was already parked in the driveway. When I stepped in, they were sitting in front of the television. I told Lee that she needed to go right now. She tried to object, but I told her that if she didn't, I would contact the police on her behalf. Erica tried to get enraged because I ejected her friend, but I informed her that I'd had enough of talking about Lee since nothing has changed in their relationship at this point in time. I sat down with Erica and showed her this post. She was quite interested. She noted, after 20 minutes of reading, when I asked her what she thought, "Those people don't comprehend our relationship or Lee." At that time, I realized the game was finished. I requested her to extend her hand, after which I took the ring off her finger. She appealed, saying she was sorry and that she would shut Lee off from the rest of the group and so on. I told her that if I couldn't put my confidence in her with the garage code, how could I put my trust in her with my marriage? She's now locked herself in our room for the time being. I'm in the kitchen, preparing her stuff for her departure. When I phoned her father and mother to notify them of what had transpired, they were understandably furious. Lee has apparently been forbidden from their house since she graduated from high school. Her parents informed me that this has been the case since high school, something I had not realized. It is expected that they will get here this weekend to take up Erica and her stuff. In my whole life, I've never been happier as I'm right now. My shoulders have been relieved of a significant amount of weight. I was under the impression that if I hadn't written this piece, I would have never realized how twisted my life had turned out to be. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. I'm looking forward to getting my golf clubs out and enjoying a round of golf now that I have more free time. The prospect of single life excites me tremendously, and I can't express my gratitude to you all enough. Story 2. Ada for not telling my ex-husband's cousin that his wife cheated. It is necessary to go back in time. I am a 29-year-old girl who has been divorced since February of this year. I have 2 children. We've been together for 8 years when this happened. After a 6-month-long, long-distance affair with a girl, 24 female, whom he met online while playing video games, my ex-husband, 34 years old, and I decided to split. We are the parents of 2 small children. There was a lot of suffering at the end of the relationship, after I found the affair and it persisted because they are jerks, which culminated in the dissolution of the marriage and the subsequent divorce. My ex-husband was a jerk, to put it mildly. My husband's family occasions were frequent while I was married, and he had a large number of relatives his own age that we would go with him all the time. His closest relative, 31 male, was also married, and his wife, 34 female, became quite close to me as a result of our friendship. She shared a great deal of personal information with me, including the fact that she had sometimes cheated on her husband with another man. I kept those secrets to myself, and I didn't even tell my husband about them until much later. That piece of knowledge, in my perspective, was not the bomb I was planning to detonate. I didn't want to cause any trouble for anybody. In the event that I had said something, I would have been reprimanded and humiliated by the rest of my husband's family for having brought such a serious matter to their attention. I guess all I hoped was that she'd come to her senses and stop, or that she'd be apprehended. Approximately 3 weeks ago, I had a FaceTime call from this friend/cousin, and when I answered the phone, she seemed to be in terrible shape. I inquire as to her well-being, and she responds that everything is not well, that her husband has discovered all of her affairs, that she is a compulsive liar, that she has lied to everyone about a number of things throughout her life, and that she has most likely lied to me about a number of things as well. She went on to say that when her husband inquired as to whether anybody was aware of her infidelity, she informed him that I was aware of it. She was merely calling to let me know that he could call and that I would be able to tell him the truth about everything he wanted to know. I had expected him to call me within a few days, but I had completely forgotten about it by then. Forward to yesterday, when I got a text message from the individual stating that I was being a jerk for failing to tell him since I was supposed to be family, even though I was just as much family with her and she and I were closer than he and I ever were. He said that if I had told him years ago that he could have left her when they just had 1 kid, rather than when they now had 3, he would have done so and saved them a great deal of heartache. Then he went on to say something else. You are deserving of all your ex-husband has put you through. When it came to not shoving my nose where it didn't belong and instead just putting space between myself and this friend/cousin in the hopes that she figured it all out, I always thought I'd done the right thing. I'd always thought that it wasn't my job to speak up against injustice. Now I'm beginning to doubt whether or not I made the right choice. Ada,